So this here is definitely going to be one of the most important video that I've recorded in a while. And if you ask me why, very simple guys, it's the last day of the month and today we are going to find out where the monthly candle is going to close. And why is the monthly candle so important? Because this monthly candle close is going to decide whether the month of July to be bullish or to be bearish. So before we dive into it, before we start talking about it, please do me a favor and destroy that like button, and to those individuals watching this for the first time, hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much. Now first thing first, looking at this price action using our leading indicator, yes, Bitcoin remaining above the CPI trend line is normally considered bullish. I mean, each and every time whenever the price starts forming an ascending CPI like this higher than the previous month CPI, we know it is a sign of strength, and we are also expecting this uptrend to continue. But here is a twist. Despite this being an ascending CPI, Bitcoin has failed to touch the R1 line. Yes guys, despite this being an ascending CPI, Bitcoin has failed to touch the R1 line. So if Bitcoin fails to come across this R1 line before ending the month of June around 113,000, then we must prepare ourselves for a bit different outcome. I mean, despite this being an ascending CPI, we might see price doing something different. I mean, if you go back and look at the price action here, you can see guys, during uptrend, price always prints a ascending CPI higher than the previous month, but during downtrend, price tends to print a descending CPI. But during this ascending CPI, what I want you guys to look at is the movement around the R1 line. I mean, here you can see Bitcoin was clearly in a downtrend, right? But after reaching the month of September 2024, what happened all of a sudden? Bitcoin had a major bounce. We tested the R1 line. Despite being in a downtrend, we tested the R1 line. But after testing the R1 line, what followed here? A start of a new uptrend. And since then, Bitcoin also started printing an ascending CPI. You can see higher than the previous month CPI, which only gets formed during uptrend. But if we look at the price action around this area during this uptrend, when we were forming an ascending CPI, Bitcoin always tested the R1 line. And this was the confirmation of an uptrend. You can see each and every time whenever the price tested the R1 line, it was a continuation of an uptrend. But when we failed to do that, despite this being a parallel lining CPI, not overly bearish CPI, Bitcoin failed to touch the R1 line, and failing to touch the R1 line resulted in a bearish continuation. Yes guys, 2 months, 3 months of a downtrend before starting with another bullish move. But during this bullish move, same scenario unfolded. I mean, more than 90% of cases, whenever the price prints an ascending CPI, price also tests the R1 line, and each and every test around the R1 line was our confirmation of an uptrend. But in our case, despite this being an ascending CPI, Bitcoin has unfortunately failed to touch the R1 line. So if the monthly closes below this R1 line, below 113,000, then we have to be careful. Even if we print another parallel lining CPI for the month of July, we have to be careful, because that could be acting as support, but it could be just a temporary support before expecting another continuation here to the downside. I mean, for the month of July and August, Bitcoin could some more fake out, shake out, and only after that we might see an actual parabolic move playing out. So what I'm trying to pinpoint is that Bitcoin failing to touch the R1 line in most of the cases has resulted in some bearishness. So in our case, if we fail to touch the R1 line, maybe the upcoming month of July and even the month of August, right, is expected to be bearish. But after that, I'm actually expecting a continuation of an uptrend. Why? Why is it so? Because the Fed Chair Powell has clearly stated that he will be cutting the rate twice this year, right? As of now, no sign of rate cut. Even the next FOMC, which is going to be end of July, I am not expecting Fed to cut the rate. I'm expecting Fed to leave the rate unchanged. So for the month of July and even August, we might see few more shakeout, but after that, we are expecting a very, very parabolic move to play out, because in September, next FOMC, I am actually expecting Fed to cut the rate, and that could mark the bottom for Bitcoin, right? And a new market phase to follow. So that's why what I'm trying to pinpoint is that even if the price gets attracted to us or below 100,000 in a bigger picture, that could be a great buying opportunity. So what I want you guys to keep in back of your head, any sort of a pullback will be giving us a buying opportunity, because I personally think the market has not topped yet. Even if the price loses the support from this CryptoAnup buy sell indicator, Williams alligator indicator, even the support from this CPR trend line above 100,000 and starts with another continuation like this, I strongly believe that this will be giving us a buying opportunity, because after testing some key line, I personally think an actual parabolic move will play out in price action of Bitcoin. So doesn't matter whichever scenarios plays out, in a bigger picture, any sort of a pullback will be giving us a buying opportunity, because we are not expecting this to be the top for Bitcoin and price to show a continuation in this manner. I personally think Bitcoin has a blow off top type of movement lift. Only after this we are expecting an actual reversal in price action of Bitcoin. So doesn't matter whichever scenario plays out, a bullish continuation, bearish continuation. If you are worried, I suggest you to simply zoom out, because zooming out will give you a better picture in where we might be possibly heading, because I have been very clear with you guys. Bitcoin mark of phase has not ended yet. You can see this is in a weekly time frame. Before we start with a bearish move, what happened most of the time? Bitcoin gets attracted towards the overbought or distribution area. Only after ending the overbought distribution area, we start with an actual markup phase, markdown phase. But before that, before heading towards the overbought distribution area, what usually follows? A markup phase, right? Each and every time after closing above the previous high, we had an actual markup phase. So in our case, this does not look like a distribution area to me. So that's why I personally believe we will see another blow off top type of formation, and only after the price forming a distribution area or an overbought area before starting with the markdown phase. So that is another reason why I strongly believe any sort of a pullback will be giving us a buying opportunity. But as of now, you can see Bitcoin is still holding strong above 100,000. So please, let's not be overly bearish. As long as we remain above this 100,000, despite Bitcoin failing the arrow line, maybe, who knows, right? We might see another parabolic move playing out. So if Bitcoin remains above 100,000, this will be just a temporary pullback, and price of Bitcoin after that is expected to show another continuation despite failing to touch the R1 line. So since it's 30th of June, if Bitcoin fails to close the monthly above 113,000 or test the monthly R1 line, then there might be turbulence, guys. Please expect volatility, because I showed you that according to this falling wedge as well, a consolidation pullback will be just a temporary pullback before expecting another parabolic move. But in our case, if we do take a little bit longer, I mean Bitcoin coming for a retest around this 50 EMA one more time, no problem, because each and every pullback around this 50 EMA, you can see it has resulted in a very, very bullish move. So if we do see this opportunity arising again, then you know what to do, right? So even if Bitcoin fails to touch the R1 line, but manages to remain above the CPR trend line, manages to remain above this CryptoAnup buy sell indicator, Williams alligator indicator, this will be an exception, and price, despite failing to touch the R1 line, would still continue with an uptrend. So it doesn't matter whichever scenario plays out. If you are worried, simply zoom out, because any sort of a pullback in a bigger picture will be giving us a buying opportunity. And I've been saying this since ages, guys. Bitcoin is still in an uptrend in my opinion, and only after forming a blow off top type of formation I'm expecting an actual reversal. So these were some of the quick updates that I wanted to share with you in this video. If you enjoyed my work, then please guys do not hesitate to destroy that like button, and to those individuals watching this for the first time, to hit that subscribe button. And by saying this, I'm signing out. Until next time, bye bye.